Bruce Lee grew up in Hong Kong, which was a colony of Great Britain. In Hong Kong, during that particular period, there was apartheid rule. There was rule of Hong Kong of the Chinese majority by a British minority. And Bruce felt that very much, I think, growing up as a young person of Chinese and a little bit of European descent as well. But because he was dark-skinned, he certainly was subjected to the same types of discrimination and oppression that other Chinese in the colony felt. As a child, Bruce was picked on. He was bullied at school by a lot of other kids. He was a small child. He, I think, tried to fight back against his bullies. And, he didn't really develop. He was very sickly as a child. He was very small and frail. He was short-tempered. He would like to get into fights. He was easily insulted. He was very sensitive. What's clear is when he becomes a teenager, it's no longer just about defending himself. He's actually going out and starting fights and picking fights on the street. His parents decided that they wanted to send him back to the US to exercise his American citizenship, but really to get him out of trouble, to keep him from ending up in jail or worse. And they wanted him to study. As soon as he gets there, he encounters racial segregation. He finds that most Asian people live in segregated neighborhoods like Chinatown in San Francisco and Seattle. Most of the people that he runs into, that he meets at school, are people who are poor, who are working class, who are Black, who are Hispanic, who are Filipino and Japanese. He has a Black friend who was beaten very, very young by police. He begins to understand how Black people are treated. And then he meets many Japanese Americans who were incarcerated in concentration camps during World War II. And I think that that's the point. He comes to understand what it means to be an underdog. He says is, well, I need to teach them because they're going to try to attack me anyways. But if I am somebody who can identify with these folks, I can get them to understand the beauty of my culture. And so sure enough, he ends up teaching a multiracial group of folks. And this, I think, gives people like Jesse Glover, his first student, his Black friend, a sense of confidence and a sense of solidarity with Chinese people, with Asian people in general. And so over the years, he teaches a lot of Black folks, and he breaks that sort of color barrier in a way. I think probably pride. Bruce was very proud of who he was, and he was not afraid to be an Asian in America during a period where Asians in America were treated very, very badly. The thing that stood out to everybody who met him during his lifetime is that he was a very proud person, and he was not going to stand for being belittled in any kind of a way. There was a character that was named Chop Chop, and he was sort of this bucktooth servant stereotype type of character. And what Bruce vowed to himself was, I'm never going to accept any of those kinds of roles. And I'm going to use any role that I get to be able to try to portray in the best possible light in a way that shows the strength and the resilience and the determination of Asian men. In Enter the Dragon is Bruce standing up for the little guy. He's revenging, the death of his Black friend. He's fighting against evil. He really, really took it upon himself to try to represent the power of people who can rise up for justice. These are neighborhoods where Chinese, Japanese, Black folks are living together. In many ways, these movies help to bridge the differences between the two because Asian folks and Black folks alike can identify with being on the other side of racial oppression. Bruce Lee became the hero for folks who felt like they didn't have a voice in society. Bruce was somebody who, during his time when he was alive, never got to see success. He never really got to see the breakthrough in the US and around the world. And he was regarded sort of as somebody who was not a major actor during his lifetime. But nowadays, we remember him more than many of the biggest stars during that particular period. And it's absolutely because he's been able to give voice to the voiceless. That's somebody who makes me realize that I never have to bow down to anybody in terms of trying to explain who I am. I think that if he had lived, he would have certainly continued to have done movies and to represent underrepresented minorities, people who feel oppressed. And I think that he would have continued to have preached the message of overcoming racism and forging harmony with each other.